Hello, America. This is Robert Reese, and welcome back to the CEO Show. We're here today with Hector Martinez. How are you, Hector?
I'm doing well, Robert. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure because Hector is the head of U.S. insurance at John Hancock. So this company has been around since 1862. Talk about what John Hancock is.
John Hancock Life Insurance Services. So we provide insurance, we provide global wealth and asset management. We are a 163-year-old company that tries to bring solutions, and we specifically focus on revolutionizing the way that insurance is owned by individuals. That word life insurance actually means something here at John Hancock, where we make sure that it's for the living. So longevity is a big part of what we do, and maybe something you're familiar with, and hopefully, if not, you'll become familiar today.
So I want to go deep on that because I know the model, and we have like 600,000 people listening in, mostly CEOs. The John Hancock model is different than any insurance company out of over 5,000 in America. Talk through what the unique model is. And this is for anyone who wants to reinvent their industry. This is a outstanding case study.
It's a great question, and frankly, it's one of the reasons why I joined John Hancock. So, I mentioned that we're a 163-year-old company, and what I'd like to say, and you hear it bouncing around the walls here at John Hancock, is that we're a 163-year-old startup. Over a decade ago, now about 11 years ago, Brooks Tingle, our CEO, had the notion that besides the people that love you most, those that are interested in you living a longer, healthier, better life should very well be your life insurance company. And, I say they would rival the people that love you most, but we're interested. And that shared value is that cornerstone that's become what is now the entire value proposition of what we bring to the table. Now, make no mistake about it, our traditional life insurance products, feature to feature and product to product, they solve the same problems, but we do it in a different way. We align everything that our clients do to help themselves live longer, healthier, better, with the goals that we have as well. We bring access to concierge medicine and access to things that perhaps are only accessible by the highest level at organizations. We bring that as part of the package for each and every one of our clients through John Hancock Vitality.
Yeah, and you also have things like you want people to be healthy, so they will play these games. And usually, like they're with life insurance, you're on twice a year. They go every day on their phone and play these games. Then when they want to order food, they get 25% off of it, so they could be healthy and live longer. Talk about how that whole process works.
Robert, it's as if you know our product inside and out. What started, like I said, about a decade ago as gamification, as you think about what people do today on their mobile devices, the idea of getting on an app and navigating through it without anybody having to train you. We took those same concepts and applied it to, again, ownership of the life insurance product. Typically, you buy a life insurance product and you set it on the shelf and you set it and forget it. And the only time that works is when you're gone. Today, our clients, through an app called that Vitality app that I just spoke about, they're engaging with us 33 times a month, sometimes, maybe more. And to your point, there's little things that happen like healthy food discounts that they could gain, like spinning a wheel because of the amount of points that you earn through your activity, linking your Garmin, your Apple, your Fitbit watch so that you can get credit for all the activities that you do on a daily basis, whether that's sleep, whether that's walk, whether that's running. Again, it meets you where you are. And then it started to evolve and said, there are other people that perhaps it's beyond activity, but just taking a step closer to saying, on an annual basis, I'll get my physical. Why don't I get my colonoscopy? I'm at that age. Getting points for achieving those as well. All of those points accumulate, and as you accumulate those, you achieve different statuses. And as you achieve statuses, people get excited about spinning the wheel and earning discounts for hotels, earning the healthy food discounts that I talked about. It could manifest in premium discounts as well. All of these things to drive value. And again, the ownership of the policy during your life, not just when the inevitable happens.
There's like 10,000 employees at John Hancock, and I know you have this unique culture. Talk about how the culture manifests itself into this customer experience and what's unique about the culture itself at John Hancock.
Well, the first thing is that there's a level of pride here. And I mentioned that one of the reasons I came here was because we're driving value beyond the typical life insurance policy. And I will tell you this, across the board here at our company, every single person, from the junior case manager all the way through the senior pricing actuaries, are thinking about the value that each one of these products derives and what this actually means to every single client that buys it. Many of our associates own the products that we represent. So they get a chance to see the value that they're deriving. They're talking to their parents about it. They're talking to their brothers, sisters, their friends. There's a culture here that thinks about longer, healthier, better. You see that posted behind us, longer, healthier, better. You hear everybody speak about it. When you walk our halls, we think about longer, healthier, better. There will be a day that we will be known just for that. And not as a life insurance company that provides that, but rather a company that drives longevity across everybody that we work with. And that's what everybody here believes.
That is pretty cool. About the culture, I know you really care about people. Are there any unique practices that you personally do that you say, hey, this is going to help the culture grow?
It's a silly one, but maybe it's something that resonates. One of the things that we love about Vitality is that we think it meets people where they are and not where we want them to be, right? So in other words, sometimes a client might think, well, I like John Hancock Vitality for my marathon runners, or I like John Hancock Vitality because they're active. And the reality is that it meets you where you are. One of my own personal habits that I hope drives that value home is that no matter what meeting I attend, I always have a walk run in the morning. You know, our days are full of meetings, our days are full of calls. There's not enough time to connect with either clients or our own associates when you're at meetings. So I'll start the morning, and what I do is I let everybody know there'll be a 6:15 run. And we'll go on a 2 mile run, just a 2 mile run out and back. And when I get back,
How many people?
generally speaking, I mean, you could get as little as two for the run. You could get as many as 10 or 15 for the run. Where you get more
Wow.
where you get more people, you go out and back. And when I arrive back at 6:45, that's where the walkers meet so that everybody has a chance. And so I can maximize the amount of people that I get in touch with. The most important thing is that it's inclusive, that we try to make sure that everybody knows we will meet them where they are. And for me as a leader, I get a lift and a jolt from whether it's jogging, whether it's walking, most importantly, speaking and connecting to the people that are closest to our client, closest to our process, and closest to our products.
What I have to say, what a spectacular practice to do. Everyone listening in, you just heard it. Walk with your people, maybe run first, but it breaks down all the barriers. You come up with ideas and you're getting healthier at the same time. We're about to take a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to hear about Hector's unique path in coming to great leadership. Back in a few. This is Robert Reese on the CEO Show, where we speak with the CEOs who have reinvented the fabric of America, with Hector Martinez, who is the head of U.S. insurance at John Hancock, only since 1862. But you had a really unique path of getting here, you know, where you were a competitor, a client, a partner. Talk about a transformative moment that you had in your career.
There's a lot to point to, but I'll speak to the ones that I think are most relevant to my journey here to John Hancock. So you mentioned it a bit, but I'll dive into it just a touch. I spent about a decade at a company called ADP, and most of my journey through ADP started in sales. It didn't start with big strategy. It started with just simple execution, sales discipline, and operating rigor. There was a lot of formative things that happened to me there that I still lean on today. But after a decade there, I had the opportunity to join a brokerage general agency, and it was just starting through a bunch of different acquisitions of smaller brokerage general agencies. And that company was called Bisis. And Bisis eventually became the company that was called Crump when it got private through JC Flowers at that time. There was a journey that we went through by way of coming out of JC Flowers to BB&T Bank and then Truist. I won't bore you through that because those weren't the formative moments. But when I came into the industry, I came from an industry of payroll taxes, human resources, and outsourcing, and a sales background. And when I joined Bisis, and I realized that two things. One, we were wholesaling. We weren't direct to the consumer. We weren't business to business. We were wholesaling. There was a difference there. And the second, there were these advisors that we were providing services to, and these advisors were solving problems for the people with this product called life insurance. And I owned a life insurance policy, but I never really thought about the value that it drove. So I'll tell you one plot in my journey that altered the trajectory of the way that I think is when I started to really understand what our products did for people, what our products did for families, what our products did for businesses. And my immediate reaction was we should be doing as much as we possibly can to get this in the hands of more people. That was the first thing is how do we make sure we get this in the hands of more people? Little did I know that it's an inherent issue in the insurance industry is that we just don't get enough people. There's over 100 million people in the US that are underinsured or uninsured today. So it's not what I said in 2005 is a real issue and it's still an issue today. So it's an endeavor that like I said is a plot in my graph that I think changed my trajectory. The second one was when I had an opportunity after 16 years as a client of John Hancock, because as in that broker general agency, I was a client. One of the biggest solution providers that we had and partners that we had was John Hancock, amidst other carriers as well. Was the opportunity to manufacture products, to actually build solutions. And what I mean by that is shifting from the BGA side, the broker general agent side, the distribution side as a client to a competitor now. And I went over to take over the life business. I was the head of the life business over at Equitable for 3 years, and we had an incredible time there alongside many incredible leaders as a competitor of John Hancock. And I would say we competed feature to feature and product to product in what we did because life insurance inherently is similar. But what we didn't have, and what I realized because I owned a John Hancock Vitality policy, was that the value that John Hancock was driving was very different than the value that we were driving at Equitable. Again, product to product, feature to feature, did similar things, but I didn't know that as a leader of Equitable, I was showing my clients that I wanted them to live longer, healthier, better. And I didn't just hope that they live longer, healthier, better. I was going to help them live longer, healthier, better. So fast forward, that was a plot that said to me, as we're building products, and we built some really good products at Equitable and solutions, and we had tremendous advisors that represented us there. But the idea of driving that value that I just described, again, that value that said, I share something with the client that I'm about to give this policy to or provide this solution for. I want them to live longer, healthier. And I don't just want it. I'm going to help them do it. I'm going to provide them the tools to do it. And I'm going to meet them where they are. And that's that third plot. When I met Brooks 20 some odd years ago, I knew he was brilliant, but it takes a lot to change an industry. It takes a lot to change a 163-year-old company. So when I saw what he was doing here, having been an owner of a policy, having been a competitor of them at Equitable, and having been a client at Bisis and Crump, I just thought, boy, it would be incredible if it's good that we do this for more people. It's really good that we do it at John Hancock. So that's what made me join here.
You know, I could tell this hits you viscerally. You love your work. You're on a mission. You feel you are helping the whole world, and you are really. You're creating a healthier society.
If I had one thing that I would change instead of one person at a time, we'd do a lot more of it. And I think I share that with everybody that walks these halls as well.
Well, I will tell you something. I had a private CEO dinner with Brooks Tingle, your CEO, and other insurance CEOs, and the other insurance major company CEOs. They're like, you know what? Call me because I need to become a client of yours. I love what you're doing. These are it is really a unique company, and I could see how much you love working there.
Well, I'll tell you what, one of the things that Brooks speaks about a lot is that if you survey people, you can, and he says it almost exactly this way, so I'll paraphrase, but he says you can't get 9 out of 10 people to agree that the earth is round, but you could get 9 out of 10 people when you describe our products a certain way, say, I want that product. So it's really, really unique place for us to be, and we're really proud to tell the story. And I actually, when I joined, I told my team, I said, we should all be proud. If you were here a decade ago, this was last year, the courage that it took for this organization to step forward and say, this is the way we're going to do our business in a centuries old industry. The courage that it took to do that was just outstanding.
Yeah, final question. You are so innovative, as we know with John Hancock, but you've this special program where you're working with Google, with Amazon, Apple, MIT on sleep, stress, cancer, on all mental wellness, on all these issues. Just talk about what that is.
So I'll tell you, one of the things that I talked about how innovative Brooks is, but one of the things that as an organization we realize are the things that we're good at and the things that it's just better to partner at. When you think about some of the companies that you mentioned, let's use Google and Amazon just as an example. The user experience there and the sort of stratospheres ahead that there are compared to most other organizations on what it takes to engage a human to make them do something different. So we're learning every single day through the partnership with Amazon, and so much of the learnings that we get through the gamification of what we do is through some of those partnerships like Google and Amazon on how to access that stuff. When you think about MIT, who better to partner with that can do the amount of research? I think about the iceberg under the water that actually means something. We partnered with them and just released this longevity preparedness index that we launched in the fourth quarter of last year that identified not just are you prepared financially and how you feel financially about your readiness to retire, but rather the 8 domains that speak to your longevity preparedness, because it's more than just financial preparedness. It involves things like, do you know who's going to be changing your light bulb? Do you know what your community is going to be like when you move to this remote location that, from an economics perspective, makes sense? But what is your community going to look like? Because all of these facets make up a successful retirement. It's successful not by dollars and cents, but again, by living longer. But as you're living longer, living healthier, and as you're living longer and healthier, living better. These 8 domains make up a part of that sort of journey. And MIT has helped us to create this sort of view, and we view this as the sort of fuel that's going to take us through new product innovation, to the new solutions we provide, because now we're going to be starting to solve for those 8 domains and helping Americans become more prepared for their retirement, not just from a financial perspective, but a full, well-rounded solution.
Here's the real final question. Anyone wants to find out more about Vitality, about what you're doing at John Hancock, what is the website?
It's johnhancock.com. And it's that simple. You could log on and you could learn. And I promise you, the journey you'll be on, you're only scratching the surface. We have 10,000 people that are willing to talk to you about what we can do with you with John Hancock Vitality. And we look forward to having that conversation.
Well, I want to tell you on that, Hector, what a pleasure it is having you on the CEO show. You've such passion and you're telling the story the right way.
Robert, thank you so much for taking the time. I'm actually humbled that I'm on this show, and I hope that this message reaches someone with the intent that I had hoped for. So thank you so much for having me on the show.